It's time to hear it from Harlan. Utah Director of Athletics Mark Harlan takes you behind the scenes with the Utes and collegiate athletics.
Well, welcome into our first edition of this year's Hear It From Harlan podcast. I'm the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley. It's actually my first ever Hear It From Harlan podcast. Mark and I have talked many times down through the years, but now in my new role as Director of Broadcasting, I'll be hosting this podcast on a regular basis. So we're kind of kicking off the year with school back in session, sports firing up, and lo and behold, a new conference this year for Utah and Utah Athletics. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great, Bill, and let me just start off by saying I'm so excited that you're with us in this capacity. It's always been great working with you and doing this, and this is what a nice little bonus that we get to do this. But appreciate you being with us and all the work you're doing.
So, how are things?
Well, things are great. I mean, this is the day we tape this is probably day 3 of me going around to every team and talking, and so it's the best, right? I love the energy. I love the anxiety of our newcomers and our veteran leadership and talking about how great everything is. And this year, as you just mentioned in the intro, to have this new conference, these new places and these new teams has really added a lot of juice. So you can really sense that everyone's ready to go. Our fall sports, obviously soccer, led us off with just a phenomenal win to really, I think, set the tone for the year. I don't know if we're going to see the bend it like Beckham kicks all the time the rest of the year and everything, but what a way to start.
So the journey's not new. It kind of kicked off at the beginning of August, but we're into that transition now, and it was kind of a transition really from the end of the school year last year through the summer. How has, from an athletic standpoint, the transition into the Big 12 gone?
It's gone really, really well. I think that we set it up in a way to be as strategic as we could. Charmel Green, our great chief operating officer, set up multiple working groups that, tackled each thing, whether it be travel, whether it be how do we want to formulate all our team scouting to make sure our coaches had what they needed. Obviously with your role, the new broadcasting requirements that I think I've been pretty public in saying that's probably the highest of the biggest of changes that we're managing, that we're now producing all these events. And so that's been really fun to work with and to see how it's going to grow. I'm really excited about that. So those things come together. But as we merged into it on that August day, we were ready. And I appreciate Commissioner Yormark. I think there's not a week that goes by that we don't talk. He checks in with me. I check in with him, because there's still all these national issues that we have to work together on. And so you just merge with the other athletic directors and universities and you work together. So great energy in the conference. And certainly from a Utah perspective, we're ready to roll.
I was going to ask you what Utah fans need to know about this new path and journey. Not much is going to change. Rice-Eccles Stadium's still going to rock. There'll be some stuff we'll talk about there. But you mentioned something interesting that I think is key for fans to know, and that's the new digital platform and the ESPN Plus component of this thing. There is no more conference network, but every school has been tasked with this, including Utah, and I'm happy to be a big part of that. But let fans know where they can begin to see these events we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that we were really blessed to have a robust Pac-12 network system that I think had a lot of great content. Obviously, there was delivery issues there, that was hard to get, although I think that got better. As we go forward, and it's like this in the ACC, it's like this in the Big Ten, some in the SEC, where we are responsible contractually to produce 50-plus events, and we went about creating the platforms and the resources that were needed to do that. So now we're going to be a lot more in control of a lot of that. And Bill, you know a lot about that, and we'll be describing that to folks as we go. But the fact that it's all on ESPN Plus is really a great development. It's very accessible, and I think as we saw with just our first soccer game on ESPN Plus, I had a lot of people say, "Boy, that was easy." So I think we'll be able to merge our incredible creative teams and our production teams all into that. We'll grow. We don't have a studio yet. We have a truck. I think we'll get to a studio. President Randall and I have had a lot of conversations about how do we maximize this, not just for athletics, but for the university. I think that's where the magic will happen, and we'll work in that direction.
We'll have more info on that as we go throughout these podcasts of the year. Football leads us off on the 29th of August against Southern Utah. I've been around this program 20 years and 16 as voice of the Utes. You've been around for, I think, 7 now. plus all your time in the Pac-12, I'm not sure there's ever been more hype, excitement, expectation, Mark, around a Utah football season. Are you sensing that too?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there has been a lot of hype around this program for many years, but it's hard to argue with your point. I do think that where I go and the people I run into, they're bursting at the seams, and the fact that we're, as we tape today, about a week away, just over, I think is that excitement is also within the football complex, and I think they're really excited. We'll talk to McKai here in a minute when I get a chance to sit with him and get a feel for that. But, they just had a great camp. Whit and I we sat down before camp, and he really outlined the goals and what he was trying to accomplish. And, they did some adjustments of how they were going to run camp this year. I think most maybe think, because we want to make sure we limit injuries. It was way broader and bigger than that, adopting some NFL philosophies. And, our sports performance team is so intimately involved in how to have our athletes at top peak shape in all our sports, and all of that kind of came together to just a terrific camp. The scrimmages were robust, and we came out really relatively healthy, which was just great. And I think all part of that was the preparation to go into that. The guys came in great shape, and they were off and running. But I think it comes down to this: it's just senior leadership. There's just incredible leaders on this team, mixed with just some really good young talent, and that's where it comes together. So they're bouncing off the walls just like our fans are.
August 29th, 7 o'clock, Rice-Eccles Stadium. The television component will be on ESPN Plus. It'll be the only football game this year on the ESPN Plus platform. And, of course, you can hear me and Scott Mitchell and Sly on the radio, on our flagship radio home, ESPN 700, with the action of that game. And, by the way, that's a big night, not just because football kicks off that night, but a brand new tradition is being unveiled in a really cool way. When you come out to the stadium on the 29th, Utah fans, you're going to see for the first ever time and the beginning of Utah football's Ring of Honor.
Yeah, we kind of stuck that one in there, didn't we? We've been working on this for a bit, and I give Jeff Rudy a lot of credit. I tasked him to really go through every piece of this, and when we were ready, then it was time to roll. And listen, I noticed when I first got here in 2018 that we didn't have that. If you go through the Eccles football complex, we celebrate a lot of incredible players here, but that's not really a public building, right? You got to have an access card to get in and all of that. So, you see it in the Huntsman with our competitors in the arena sports. So it was time. We've got an unbelievable group of players to really look at over these next few years. We felt that Alex had a separation there, particularly with the College Football Hall of Fame announcement that we're going to be. That's, by the way, going to be so fun when we celebrate him in December. But we really felt that Alex hit that mark to be our inaugural member. But believe me, there's others that we're going to see going up there as we've announced. So the joy in all this was for me to call Alex and, hey, Mark, what's going on? I think he was thinking about calling about the Hall of Fame. We're just checking in. He's been really helpful with the Crimson Collective. And I told him, and his reaction was, well, I don't know if I can say the exact words that he said on the podcast, but he could tell. I mean, he had a moment to collect himself. And so that was so gratifying. It just shows, he's meant so much to people, but what this place meant to him is probably equally so. So his whole family, now they're doubling, all right, because of this. They're going to come out. We're going to do a great celebration with him the night before the game, and then he'll be there at halftime when we unveil this Ring of Honor. So we're going to do this. We'll do 2 a year. The qualifications are hard. There's some we want it to be as objective as we could, but there's some subjectivity that Whit and I, if we need to talk about it in the future, or folks that replace us in the future, they'll have some of that. But it's time, and we're really excited about it.
You will not lack for candidates in the next
my Twitter feed.
In the coming years to put in that Ring of Honor. So in addition to kicking off football season with Southern Utah, the Ring of Honor makes its debut on the 29th, and Alex Smith will be the first inductee to the Utah Football Ring of Honor. Now, I don't know if he'll make the Ring of Honor, but McKai Bernard is certainly going to be a key piece to Utah football this year. You're going to have a little conversation with him coming up next.
I'm really excited about visiting with him. He's just special. His story is quite amazing, and I look forward to sitting down with him and everyone getting a chance. He's just awesome.
So McKai Bernard coming up next with Mark, and then Mark and I will pick things up. There's a lot more going on in Utah athletics that we have to get to in just a bit, so stick around.
For tickets, apparel, team schedules, and more on the Utes, visit UtahUtes.com, the official website of Utah Athletics.
Well, Happy New Year to everyone that listens to the podcast. And as I always say, the best part of the podcast is when we get a chance for me to sit down with a student athlete that really always is able to talk about their experience here. And boy, we have someone really special today, someone that has been with us for some time and seen everything. And I got here in 2018. I believe he got here in 2019. He'll clarify that for me. But we're really excited to have McKai Bernard here today from our incredible football program. McKai, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
You know, I think about you and the journey that you've been on, and I've seen it from afar, right? I mean, as many have that have worked with you. And one thing that's always struck me is just, you know, your love of being a part of this team, your joy of being a Ute, and just even Saturday, like I try to notice everything. You and I walk by each other, we fist bumped, but you were like, in your 6th year of going to Fan Fest, you were literally running in there because you know what it means to people. It just really struck me. You weren't strolling in, you were on the hop, you were in front of your group. So just really appreciate everything. But let's talk about your journey. Obviously, you had a lot of choices coming out of California. You came here and you've stayed here, which is a little different, right, for this day. So just walk us through your journey on how you got here and, frankly, how it's all been.
Honestly, I did not even think I was going to come to Utah. I didn't even have an offer from Utah. It was kind of a crazy story there. I'm sitting here, with multiple offers from different places in the Pac-12, and I get a call, and I'm talking to the coach. I think it was Coach McDonald at the time, and he goes, so what are you thinking about doing? And I'm just like, well, I'm leaning toward this way, this and that. He's like, why not us? I'm like, well, I don't even have an offer here. I'm like,
that would be helpful.
I mean, that would be helpful. Like, I don't even have an offer to the University of Utah. So, I mean, that's why it's not you guys or whatever. And he was like, okay, 1 second. Called me back. I think Coach Witt called me and then offered me. And I was just like, okay, so they're serious about this. And then, like, even before I even got offered, they were just on me every single day, just talking to me, making sure I was good, make sure I was straight, make sure I was getting my work done, trying to be the best person I can while I'm still in high school. And so that felt like a perfect opportunity where if I go attend this school and I'm there for the next probably 4 years of my life. Well, I didn't hope it was my 4 years, but now it's 6. But I was just like, man, if they're going to treat me like this and make sure that I'm good every single day and stuff like that, then I think this is the perfect place I want to go to. And so, I got here. I love the guys around me. The coaches was amazing. Coach Shaw is one of my mentors, and I appreciate him a lot. And then now it's Coach Q. Coach Q is another one, and I love every single moment I've been here.
Well, and that's what I was talking about. It just shows just the way you carry yourself, on the field. I just think of these moments that I've got to witness with you from afar, sometimes close. But Las Vegas Bowl, the game didn't go our way, but I just, you being on that field after missing time last year and coming back, I guess I'll just add my own commentary, but love to get your thoughts. You could have rolled on that one. You could have said, you know what, I'm packing it up for the year. I'm healed now. Maybe I need some more healing time. But you went out there and played, and frankly, you played your ass off. And so just walk me through a little bit of that process, because I think it said a lot about you.
Well, I was trying to get back way before. I'm like, we're back-to-back champions. I want to be back-to-back-to-back champions. So, like, if I can come back in 2 months, I'm gonna come back.
Right.
And so I kept talking to my doctor about everything. He was just like, no, give it 3 months. You need 3 months. I'm like, 3 months. I'm doing the calculations. I'm like, okay, 3 months is this date. I'll be back this date. Oh, man, maybe I can get 2 games. Maybe I can get the Pac-12 championship game if we make it. So it was just, I was really just trying to push myself to be, healed and better just so I can get on the field with my brothers because, right. I love football. Like, I found my passion again losing it. So it was just like, I need to get back out there. And so, unfortunately, we didn't make the championship, but bowl game came around and I went to the doctor and he cleared me. And I think I cried that day.
Wow.
It was just so emotional. And I'm like, I didn't think it was going to be ever going to happen because, I mean, I thought about it like this. It was just a bone break. Everybody else has their own opinion on it, but it's just a bone break. It'll heal regularly. But once he said, you're cleared, I came here to the facility, got ready for practice, and everything just felt so much just normal. Just
jump right back in.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it appeared. It just the way you were playing and your preparation was a couple other moments of the past, and then we'll start talking about camp and how it went. Let's talk a little bit about your performance against USC in that. Speaking of Pac-12 championship game, I know there's so many moments in that game and the way that the defense made their adjustments, and then we just went flying by them. But I think what's overlooked was your performance in that game, and to me, it's one of the most amazing games that I've been around in my career. Can you just get just a couple thoughts about that win over USC? How it all just came together.
Man, we knew it was going to be a shootout, and you just look back at the first game, how we came out with that game. We never quit, and that's the biggest thing with our team. And Coach really instilled that in us all year. And so when it came down to crunch time, when we're trying to be back-to-back champions, we weren't going to quit. So I think going into it or being down a couple scores was really tough. The environment was very it felt weird. It's like we've been there before, but we haven't been there before. And once we figured out everything what we needed to do, I think we just locked in and we started putting points on the board. We had I don't know what quarter it was, but that amazing touchdown from Money Parks. I think that's what really, flipped the switch for us. And then, Thomas Yasmin doing his thing, and then JJ doing his thing, and then I got my touchdown in. Everything started clicking. I don't know what turning point we had that made it click, but it was just an amazing feeling just to, get that W and, see everybody have fun while doing it.
Yeah. Probably a moment you don't want me to bring up, but I think it just showed your character, your teammate. You got loose on a play. Ball got knocked out, and Keaton, I believe,
yep.
I got that right. Keaton came up, and I've seen this, and I always stop it there, that you just went down, literally picked him up and looked him right in the face, and I just thought that's a teammate right there, right? Because that's going to happen in football games. I just thought there was that momentum of that, and I just thought that speaks to your leadership. Now listen, we're talking to somebody here that I actually dug on this, and hopefully our sports information staff will not counter this, but this is what I found out. There is no person on this planet that has played in the Rose Bowl game and scored an offensive touchdown and has 10-plus tackles on defense. And I know there's been a lot read and a lot said about that. But, again, you talk about a teammate. You talk about someone who could have said, you know what, this is what I do, and I've had about 4 hours to prepare that. Just an amazing accomplishment by you. And that touchdown you scored, right, is one for the books. I just, as you go into your last year, how much that meant to all of us, that you stepped in and leaned in. So I know that was an incredible experience. Plus, you got to spend some time with Coach Shaw.
Yeah.
And Coach Scally.
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, I think that's what the biggest, turn on for me for changing to that position was I get to spend time with Coach Shaw and learn from him.
Right.
I always hear him yelling at the other guys and stuff like that. And,
you wanted some of that.
I wanted some of that because, I like to be coached hard, and I think, just the way Coach Shaw, he coaches is just I don't know, it's just a wonderful technique. I don't know what you would call it. I don't know, I like it. And so, it just felt good to go over there and get coached by him and, learn.
I just don't know if you got double-digit tackles, so just stop and think about that against a bunch of dudes that are, I think, all pros in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this year. You guys, we sit here today. Camp just finished up about 48 hours ago. Your assessment and your feelings and the overall team feeling as we get this thing started.
I think we're going to do great. Man, where should I start? I feel like every single day it was either an offensive win or a defensive win, and that shows volume of, we're good, but our defense great. So it's we can be good one day, but then, Coach Scally, the mastermind, he'll come out the next day and game plan against us, and now we about to go game plan against them. So now we're just battling it out all fall camp, and it's they're our team, but at this point it just came to a war because, we're a great team, and I think that the first game is going to show a lot about us. I think that second game, Baylor, is going to show even more, and everybody's going to see what we're really about in this Big 12.
Yeah, the work has been amazing. I've had a chance to go to about 3 or 4 practices, and that's just a small little tiny fraction. But I saw what you saw. Like some days, like you could see the offense way to second defense, and I've always felt like, in my experience, that's when you know something's coming together. And you're right. I mean, you guys are both going against top notch, and so congratulations on getting through another camp.
Yeah.
Camp Kyle, you've got your card-carrying member of Camp Kyle. Well, let's talk a little bit. The season's going to go. It's going to be what it's going to be. You've already graduated. Congratulations again. You know, I'm sure the NFL is your aspiration, and I have a real feeling you'll get there. But you also have some other things. You know, I've read some stuff. You're really into broadcasting. You know, you've got some. So talk a little bit about what do you think your journey? You're obviously NFL, right? But other things that you're really interested in that folks don't know.
Yeah, so like broadcasting, I really want to get into that. I mean, you know, they say football, you can't play forever, you know. Right. NFL stands for not for long.
Right.
And so I still want to stay around sports and, you know, just be on TV or something, you know, smile, you know. I love to argue. I love to argue with my boys back home. We always arguing about something. They say LeBron's the greatest. I say, no, he's not, you know, stuff like that. And I feel like I could really be like a Skip and Shannon or what's his name? Stephen A. Smith. Yep. You know, I really think I could be one of those guys. We just saw his new
contract. Yeah, you might want to consider that.
You know, it might take some time to get all the way to that level, but I know I can achieve it, and that's probably the goal that I'm going for after.
Well, you know, your leadership here, your stick-to-itiveness, your success on and off the field has been so impressive. You're kind of that model of why we're all in this, right? You recruit a young person here to this university, and you just see them thrive. So anything you're going to achieve is obviously within your reach. Well, congrats again on everything. Good luck this year. I know everyone's really excited to have you back. I know I am. I know you got some young pups in that running back room. You know, just make sure they're going in the right direction as you lead that group. But really appreciate it. And like I said, we can't wait to see you play next week.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You bet.
For more episodes of the Hear It From Harlan podcast, search for it on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Alexa, Spotify, and YouTube.
Back on the Hear It From Harlan podcast, Bill Riley, voice of the Utes, Director of Athletics Mark Harlan, as we thank McKai Bernard for his time. Looking forward to seeing number 2 playing a big role in the offense this year for Kyle Whittingham and Andy Ludwig. You know, we talked about, it's been a lot of football so far, and rightfully so. Football's big, but been a lot of other things going on campus as we kind of fire the year up. And you know, last week, some really, really good news for the Utah baseball program. It's been talked about a lot, but it's now beginning to come to fruition. That's an on-campus baseball facility, Mark.
Yeah, it's so exciting to see, you know, latent construction banners all over that facility, and once you see that, you know, you got a shot to get it done. So, no, we were able to work with Charlie Montfort, who's become a really good friend of mine over these last few years. He's part of my advisory council. He's a big part of the Crimson Collective leadership. And, you know, obviously as an owner of the Rockies, he's got deep appreciation for baseball. He's a proud Ute alum. And this gift, this investment he's made in us made a lot of sense. Candidly, we did it a while ago. I had to twist his arm a little bit about putting his name on it because he's just kind of that person. But I reminded him how important it is to show the world what he thinks about us, and so we were able to announce it, and we'll have a groundbreaking official here in a couple weeks. But you know, to have America First Ballpark, you know, Charlie Montfort Field, just 2 incredible partners, you know, be the lead funders on this has just been very gratifying, and of course the others that have helped step in. So. It's the project is going well. We're finalizing where the guys will play. We have a couple different options. We're trying to play out the grounder, I guess pun intended. But I had a chance to meet with the baseball team yesterday. They're really excited about it. We'll have to manage some things this year with their practice, but it's going to be all worth it.
And the plan is 2026?
That's absolutely right. There's no reason why we won't make that happen. And my hope is even some of the field that we can even get them in on some practices there maybe at the end of this coming season. So hopefully we can start utilization, but then do full fans for the following year.
So there's markings and renderings if you go to utahutes.com of some of the ballpark, and it'll be great to have an on-campus facility. Utah soccer plays on campus, and they debuted on campus. First sport to kick things off literally and figuratively this year, and they did it with a really nice and dramatic 2-1 win over Gonzaga with a goal in the 90th minute.
A really good Gonzaga program, I believe second year of the tournament, second round of the tournament last year. I mean, it was a great opener for us to have a high competitive opponent. But yeah, just, Hideki's been kind of hinting to me that this was a team that he really felt had a chance to be special, and obviously the season's young, but they come firing out of the gate, score an early goal. Charmel and I were actually walking right behind the goal when we scored. That was pretty cool, and then of course, as you say, just an amazing. I mean, if you haven't seen the replay, I mean, find it, because it was just an amazing goal. Kicked it right around the wall, bent in right into the back of the net for what turned out to be the game winner. But yeah, they're really excited. Great vibe, mixture of some really great leaders. We had a transfer actually be named captain, so that shows you, the kind of leaders that he's recruited in. So fired up for them for their start, and fired up to see what happens.
It should be fun, and again, you can catch those games on ESPN Plus, the platform, and I'll be calling some of those games a little bit later on this fall. So,
that big goal.
Oh yeah. I hope so. 2 in the first. We'll have more coming up. By the way, they've got a big road trip coming up to LSU, Death Valley, on September the 5th. Volleyball's getting ready to go, too. Beth Lanier back for her 35th year as head coach. They were picked 9th in the Big 12 poll. Lauren Jardine picked to make all Big 12, but I know there's a buzz. I know she wasn't happy with the way things went last year, and there's a real excitement around that program right now.
Yeah, listen, we don't like to talk about injuries because, boy, that was, but our fall sports, boy, they got just hammered with injuries last year, including, I think she lost 2 starters early. Well, it's a new year, it's a new time. They've had a great camp. They also had an incredible European tour that really bonded the whole team. I mean, those type of moments when you're in the transfer era become so incredible because you can come together as a team. So she's really excited. I spent some time with her yesterday, and yeah, 35 years. And again, as I've said before, and she says she thought she'd be here for a couple years. She's excited. She's got some new staff too, and again, really fired up, and I can't wait to see him play.
They open the season, by the way, with 5 straight matches at home, starting August 30th against UTEP at the Huntsman Center at 7 o'clock. And again, much like soccer and a lot of the Olympic sports, you'll be able to see those matches on ESPN Plus. I know that you guys are really excited about your partnership in athletics with the Utah 360 app. Tell listeners a little bit about what that is and how that partnership's developing with Utah Athletics.
It's just been a phenomenal project to watch unfold. This is coming again from all the work we've been doing with the Crimson Collective and the Garf family and the different things they're involved with, and they came to me a bit ago with this concept of some things they were working on, and to really create a comprehensive app for athletics. It's been something that it's been tried all over the country in different ways, and John knew that and his team knew that if we were going to do this, we needed to be have some top technology and creativity. And certainly last year, those that were members of it saw a lot of that, the content that was put on there. Well, fast forward now, I've checked and I've looked, and I'm not really overspeaking when I say it's the best one in college athletics. It's elite video, it's elite storytelling. You can learn all about our program, and we have a corporate side of this that will help generate revenue. Oh, by the way, that revenue is going to go to our Excellence Fund to help support NIL. So, it's all coming back to us, and so it's just, again, the continuation of an incredible partnership. And I really appreciate the opportunity that we've had. So we're really going to be rolling that out. They've had some phenomenal updates. So you just go to the App Store where you get your apps, download Utah 360. It's free. I'm going to say that again. It's free. I think people just sometimes assume it's not. You can go in there and jump into that. And we wanted to do that. We wanted everyone to get involved with it, and we have other ways to monetize it. So encourage everybody to download. It'll also help in stadium to order concessions, which is going to be new for us this year. And be able to manage your tickets. So it really could become an incredible one-stop shopping.
You mentioned NIL, you mentioned Collective and the Crimson Collective, just taking a step back nationally. And I know you're so well aware of this. There are a lot of things going on right now, Mark.
Yeah, it's been interesting to go through these various summers. A couple years ago it was the LA schools leaving, and that led to the following summer, which was the end of the Pac-12 and into the Big 12. And I guess this summer, one could say quieter, but now the whole industry is faced with the same thing, which is the settlement coming to terms with the settlement of what we refer to as the NCAA versus House case. And we can talk forever, and we won't on this podcast, but what I can say is we're starting to see clarity on what we're going to be able to do for student athletes based on this settlement. Now, it has to be ratified. It has to go through a process this fall with the federal judge to agree to it. But at its highlights, it allows a university to utilize up to 22% of their revenue and apply that towards student athletes. And so we're going through that process now to figure out how that would work at Utah. We're not going to fall behind anybody when it comes to what we can do for student athletes. So we're excited about the opportunity. It's daunting because we're going to have to really lean on different ways to generate resources to be able to do this, and we will. The president is and I are very committed to this. We've got this year to prep for it, and we will be ready to roll. And I believe it's important for us to really update everybody along the way as we go through this. But times have been a-changing, and they're really changing now. And if anything, we've learned to be very flexible and very strategic as we've gone through this. So the way I like to think about it is chaos is not always such a bad thing. And I think Utah has proven that when that kind of hits us, we kind of tend to really emerge in the front, and that's what we're going to do.
Before I let you go, we're at the beginning of the school year and sports calendar year, but I think it's important to point out as the sports begin here, it's a pretty historic time for some of the sports at Utah Athletics. Utah volleyball, gymnastics, and softball are celebrating their 50th year, and women's hoops and tennis 51st year. This is half a century plus of women's sports and athletics at Utah with those sports.
Yeah, it really is to think in a new conference, right? Especially with the 50th. It's just amazing how things work out. But no, it's just, I think, a reminder to me and a reminder to the folks that work here, and I think to others that follow us, is just that we are on the shoulders of so much success of the past, incredible student athletes that have competed. I remember telling former football players when we cracked through that first Rose Bowl, you did this. Every year there's a step toward the next thing, and so when you stack up all those years, it's pretty remarkable to think that all those years have allowed us to be ready to go in a new conference. No doubt we'd be in that conference and get in there and get after it early because of all the work that's been done. But it'll be fun celebrating those milestones.
Episode 1's in the books. Anything you want to end up with here?
Again, just want to thank everybody for their constant support. We're so excited about this year. I look forward to seeing everybody. I'll be cruising through the tailgate and saying hello to everybody. But appreciate everybody as we launch into this year and the new frontier of college athletics and the new conference. And we need everybody loud and be at all these events early and wear your red. Can't wait to see everybody.
Can't wait to see you guys at the stadiums, at the events, and all over the place on ESPN Plus, where you can watch them on the digital platform. That will do it for episode 1 of Hear It From Harlan. Big thank you to McKai Bernard for stopping by. For Mark Harlan, Director of Athletics, I'm Bill Riley. We'll talk to you soon, right here on Hear It From Harlan.
This has been the Hear It From Harlan podcast. Subscribe and listen all year long as we keep you up to date on the Utes and collegiate athletics.